What's going on, guys? Austin Zay back here with another YouTube video, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about how I made over $1 million by the age of 25. And if you're new here, then I really appreciate you for watching today's video. If you're coming back, then today will be a little bit of a different video, as I'm going to dive into how I was actually able to do what I've been able to do at the age I've been able to do it in, okay? So definitely sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Now, currently I'm involved in multiple different companies. I actually do traditional real estate. I've been in traditional real estate for about 5 or 6 years. I own a wholesaling real estate company, which is more of like an investment real estate company where we fix and flip properties. We buy properties to buy and hold and have as rental properties, and we also flip the paperwork for the properties, okay? So I own those two companies. I also own an ATM company where, like an actual ATM company, okay? And we dabble in a couple of other things, but it wasn't always that way. And I want to start off by saying that, I wasn't born into money. I didn't have a bunch of money growing up. And in no way, shape, or form did I get anything handed to me. So in the last 5 or 6 years in the real estate, I've sold about 20 or 30, maybe $40 million worth of traditional real estate. That is me being a real estate agent representing buyers and sellers here in Scottsdale, Arizona, or Phoenix or Mesa or Chandler or Gilbert, okay? But primarily, basically 100% in Arizona. And that's something that I fell in love with when I was about 18 years old, okay? So I'm gonna dive into that in just a minute, and I'm gonna share with you some things that I've learned along the way, and hopefully my story can help you, and it can inspire you to take massive action, okay? That is why I'm making this video. The video that I'm making right now is because I wanna share with you that anything is possible, and that where I came from to where I'm at now, I never thought in a million years that I would be where I'm at now. So again, stay to the end of the video. I would really appreciate it. Click the like button, okay? If you haven't already, it does actually help me a lot with the YouTube algorithm, and maybe this can inspire a lot of other people. So let's just go ahead and dive into it. Like I said, about $30 or $40 million in traditional real estate sales, and probably about another $50 or $60 million in the investing side of things, okay? Where we're either flipping the contract to the property or we're actually renovating the property. So you're probably looking at about $100 million in total transaction volume in my real estate career. Now, I got into real estate in 2015, okay? End of 2014, beginning of 2015. And I got my real estate license about the same time that I got into wholesaling real estate, which is basically where you're just flipping the contract to a piece of property. You're not actually buying the property and then reselling the property. You're actually flipping the paperwork before you ever buy the property. So I'm 25 years old now. I actually just turned 25 in May. And like I said, about $100 million worth of real estate transactions, okay? I also have the ATM company that I currently do. And then I do a couple of other things like social media, YouTube, as you obviously know. I do Instagram and a few other things, but it wasn't always that way. So I want to go back in time a little bit and explain to you kind of my upbringing and how I got to where I'm at today and how that can apply to your life. So, definitely just make sure you're paying attention. But, look, at the end of the day, I actually moved out of my parents' house at a really, really, really young age. And for a number of different reasons, my parents, they had gotten a divorce, and they just, to me, they weren't in a place in their life where they we're gonna take care of children, okay? Looking back in time, obviously. So at the time, I don't really know what was going through my brain. I was really young. I was about 7 or 8 years old when I actually moved in with my grandparents, okay? So moved out of my parents, moved in with my grandparents, and my grandparents are like the most amazing people on the planet. Very, very hard workers, and just truly like phenomenal people. So I actually ended up moving into my grandparents' garage when I moved in with them, okay? And what ended up happening was, I actually kind of wanted to be in the garage, and my grandpa owned a pool company at the time, like cleaned pools, okay? And he was like, Austin, look, I'll teach you how to do this, right? I'll teach you how to clean pools, to check the chemicals, to, net the pool, and to sweep the pool, and vacuum the pool, and, backwash the pool, okay? To take care of the pool. And I loved the idea of that, right? I was always kind of a hard worker, even when I was a little bitty kid. And about 8 years old, I started cleaning pools with my grandpa. And then probably by about 8 or 9 years old, I actually started to get my own clients, okay, in my neighborhood, obviously, but I started to get my own clientele. I bought a little pool trailer, I had a little quad, and I pulled my trailer with my quad that I bought from like China, okay? It was like a Chinese quad, never actually even heard of the name. And that was kind of that, right? By about 10 or 11 years old, I was making pretty good money for that age, okay? Very, very good money. And a lot of lessons happened kind of growing up for me personally. And this is why I think I wanted to share my story so badly with you, was because there's a lot of things that if I were to go back in time, I would do a little bit differently. But again, obviously you never want to go back in time because then everything looks different, okay? So, you know what I'm kind of getting at is that when I was a younger kid, I never saved a lot of money. I kind of always blew all my money. Nobody really ever told me, Austin, like, save your money. You know, one day you're going to want to invest in real estate or the stock market or a Roth IRA or 401k or you know, Shopify or Amazon or whatever, right? Nobody really ever told me that. I mean, my grandpa, he was a phenomenal guy, but he just, you know, he stressed the importance of working hard more than saving a bunch of money. And maybe he did tell me to save, but it was my grandparents, right? I was living with my grandparents, and while they're amazing, if you know anything about grandparents, you know, they're a little bit relaxed, a little bit easygoing, and therefore I never really listened to them much, okay? There was never really any consequence to not listening to them, so I just kind of did what I wanted to do, and I blew all of my money on all sorts of different stuff. So that was kind of like learning lesson number one that really I never really learned till I was probably like 18 or 19 or maybe even 20 years, like pretty recently. Within the last like 3 to 5 years is when I actually started to learn some of these lessons, okay? So fast forward to, I was about 15 years old, got out of the pool business, got my first traditional job at like a dry cleaners, and I really didn't like it, obviously. I hated being told like what to do and like when to show up for work and when I could take a vacation and all of that. I was so used to kind of like, and I know I was really young, so I get it. You're probably like, Austin, like, no, like you're lying, like, you know, you were really young. I was really young, but I was forced to kind of mature mentally, and I've always been like mature mentally. So, you know, that's kind of what happened there, right? I got my first traditional job. I actually worked like 15 jobs, okay, traditionally. I never got fired or anything. I would go from job to job to job to job to job. Essentially, I would like get really good at what I did, and then I would go to the next job. Now, none of these jobs are too crazy. I had a couple of pretty good jobs towards the end, but most of these jobs were restaurant jobs. They were, you know, assembly line jobs, like where I would like assemble things. They were, I did like road construction, I did air conditioning, I did all sorts of different stuff. And that taught me like the hard work, right? I always knew that I had to grind, right? I had to work really hard to make money, to achieve success, right? And I that stuck with me for a really long time. Essentially, that is why I am where I am today. But again, working all those jobs also taught me what I didn't want to do. It showed me, hey, Austin, you don't actually want to work for somebody else, not for me personally. Right now, for you watching right now, you might be like, you know, you want security and you want, you know, somebody to guarantee that you're going to get paid and things of that nature. That personally was not for me. So working all of those jobs really showed me that I wasn't going to actually probably go to the corporate world, right? I really was going to end up being an entrepreneur. So that was like a big learning lesson. I actually ended up getting into network marketing right around that time. And if you're not familiar, it's kind of like multi-level marketing, network marketing, kind of like, I don't know, like Amway back in the day or like Herbalife or something. And that was also really good. I learned like a lot of personal development. I was hanging around a lot of amazing individuals, people that were making a ton of money. And really like those two things combined, me not wanting to work a job on one hand, but also learning the value of like hard work and being the very best and being competitive and showing up early and staying late and like taking out the trash and sweeping the floors and like really being the very best. Like at all of my jobs, all my managers loved me because I was an incredibly hard worker. And then coupled that with like the multi-level marketing where I got to see, you know, some of the most successful people on the planet, right? You know, guys like Bob Proctor, guys like Les Brown, Gary Vee, you know, all of these different people, Eric Thomas, right? There were so many incredible people that I got to watch on stages, on video every single day. They were part of our organization, right? John Maxwell, like it was truly incredible. And that taught me the value of like, you know, journaling, right? And reading books and doing personal development and really taking success seriously, but more importantly, taking the power of the mind seriously, right? And understanding, look, you've got to develop your mind. It doesn't come automatically. You've got to really develop it every single day. And I started to really learn the differences between successful people and people that weren't successful. And what it really came down to, in my opinion, was the mind, right? It was the mindset. And that was a huge, huge, huge wake-up call for me. So there is a ton of value there, a ton of just like amazing, amazing things that were truly incredible. I wouldn't change it for the entire world. And then that's actually what led to me getting into real estate. So at about 18 years old, I got into real estate and I fell in love with it, right? I fell in love with the idea that it was tangible. I could I could knock on it, I could touch it, I could smell it, I could feel it, I could taste it, okay? And I loved that about real estate, and I fell in love with it. And I always saw, obviously, like the HGTV shows and all the different things like that. And it was just, I realized that in real estate, I could, I saw the statistics, 9 out of 10 self-made millionaires and billionaires are made through real estate. And it's the most like time-tested, proven industry on the face of the planet. There's not as much risk as the stock market. It's a super long-term play. I loved that about it. And I got into it. I dove in head first. I started learning a bunch. I got a mentor. I paid for a mentor. I learned an incredible amount of information. And obviously, look, guys, there's a lot of trials and tribulations. None of this was linear, right? I think a lot of people think success is linear, and it is not linear, right? It is, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And it's like a roller coaster, right? And at the end of the day, it still is to this day, right? In my brain, like I'm nowhere near where I'm headed, right? Or where I want to be, or where I even think I should be. I'm just on my journey. And that is another thing that I've kind of learned. But anyways, I got into real estate, and it's been truly incredible to me. It took me a while to close my first deal after I had a mentor and things like that, but I eventually got I got my first deal. And once I got my first deal, it became real. It became tangible. I looked at my check. I got this check for I don't even remember what it was anymore, but it was probably $7,000 or $8,000. And it just, in that moment, I was like, man, I can do this. Nobody can take this away from me. If I just work hard every single day and I make the calls that I have to make, and I send the emails or the text messages that I have to send, and I talk to the right people and I network with people, I can do this. So it just became real for me. I knew I could do it. I knew I could do whatever I wanted, whatever I put my mind to. I knew that I could make it happen. I also knew that it was scalable, meaning, if I could do one deal, I could do two. If I could do two, I could do four. If I could do four, I could do eight, and so on and so forth, okay? And that is kind of what led me to where I'm at today. Over the last probably 5 years, I've started other companies. A lot of them have failed. I had a golf cart limousine company. I had an exotic car rental company, a couple of other things, but really a lot of failures, right? A lot of setbacks, a lot of things that didn't work out. I've lost a lot of money, right? I've learned a lot of lessons of don't spend money that I've just learned a lot of lessons. And I think for me, going through life and going through the things that are failures, okay? Those are the big, that is my greatest asset, right? Learning and failing, burning bridges, saying the wrong thing, breaking up with that girl, whatever it is, those are the things that teach you, what you need to learn to become successful, right? To become somebody of influence, somebody that actually could change the world potentially. And I'm not saying that I'm anywhere close to that, right? I really believe I'm just a normal average guy with above average goals and dreams, but I at least think that I'm on my way, right? I think that I'm moving in that direction. I'm moving in the direction of, building big companies and hiring a ton of people and taking care of people's families and giving back to charity and doing all these amazing things and, traveling and helping, starving children or whatever it is. Those are my goals, right? My goal is, sure, I want to be financially successful or independent or whatever, but through that, I want to be able to change people's lives. I want to be able to help people. I want to be able to impact people on a much, much bigger scale. And you can't have, success without failure. And I think, everything for me, all the way from my jobs to network marketing to that little pool company that I had to, blowing all of my money growing up, right? Literally for a decade, I blew all of my money. As fast as it came in, I spent it. It was gone, right? I didn't save anything. you know, all of those different lessons it led me to where I'm at today, and where I'm at today is incredible. Like I said, I'm nowhere near my goals and my dreams, but I truly believe that it is incredible. And so my advice to you is to enjoy the journey and not to be afraid of failure. You know, if I could sum everything up that I've learned into like one or two things, you know, that would be it. Because going through all of that, there's a couple of things that I always told myself. Number one was I always said, at that next level, I'll be happy. At that next level, you know, that is when, you know, life will be good, life will be fun, this, that, or the third. And it was always an excuse to put my happiness in the future. So essentially, I would say, you know, when I make 100 grand a year, I'll be happy. When I make 200,000, I'll be happy. When I make 300,000, I'll be happy. And the problem with that was that it was never, ever, ever good enough. So that was my biggest thing, is I never enjoyed the journey up until recently, right? I never enjoyed the journey. It was always, you know, if this, then that. If I do this, you know, then I'll be happy. If I do this, you know, then I'll be satisfied, or then I'll take care of myself better. I'll go to the gym when, you know, I'm making $1 million a year. You know, I'll go to the dentist and get my teeth whitened, you know, after I'm a multi-millionaire. Well, I don't, you know, like all these crazy things. And, you know, what I realized is every time I hit that goal, there was just another goal like this. Like, you know, once you start to achieve, you know, success and you're kind of on that journey, it'll never be good enough, right? There'll always be another level. Somebody will always have more money, a faster car, you know, like, and so for me, I had to realize, like, take a step back, right? Slow down and enjoy the journey a little bit more. That would be my biggest one. And the other one would just be like, don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid of, you know, burning a bridge or making somebody upset, or, you know, like the world judging you or whatever. You have to go out and you've got to push the boundaries. You've got to fail. You've got to try. You've got to, you know, get knocked down. You got to stand back up. Like, I think that there is no such thing as failure, and the ultimate failure is not trying at all, right? The ultimate failure is, you know, quitting, right? The ultimate failure is falling down and not getting back up, right? That is the only way to actually fail, in my opinion. So as long as you're willing to get knocked down and get back up, and you're willing to learn from your mistakes and not do that again, then I think that there's no such thing as failure. And that would be, you know, something that I've learned here today. So anyways, guys, my name is Austin Zabak, okay? You know, look, I'm far from perfect, right? I'm the furthest thing from perfect. So the next time that you look up to somebody on social media, you know, stop comparing your normal life to their highlight reel, right? It is not a reality. Nobody's perfect that you look up to. Everybody's got a lot of problems. I deal with things. People in my businesses, I have a lisp, if you can't tell, that I'm not a big fan of, right? I'm not a big fan of my lisp. I'm not a big fan of, you know, different things in my life, but I can't let that prevent me from trying. I can't let that prevent me from pursuing my goals and my dreams. And you know what? Some people are gonna like you, some people aren't gonna like you, and that is perfectly okay. And the sooner that you realize that, the better off that you'll be. I really believe that in the bottom of my heart. So no matter what it is that you're trying to pursue, whether you want to be an artist or a basketball player, an NBA player, a hockey player, okay, you want to skydive, you want to, you know, wingsuit through, you know, I don't even know, okay, the Grand Canyon, you know, you want to get your pilot's license, you want to fly a helicopter, you want to buy a yacht, you want to, you know, travel to a different country, third world country, and help people that are less fortunate. You know, anything is possible in this world. I really believe that in the bottom of my heart, that anything the mind can conceive, the mind can achieve. Anything that you want to do, you can do. It's going to take hard work. It's going to take a long time. It's going to take a lot of grit, a lot of resilience. It'll take longer than you thought it would. There'll be more failure than you thought there would be. More things will go wrong than you thought would go wrong. People will leave you. People will call you names. Your own family will probably tell you you're crazy from time to time. But I'm telling you right now, if you want to succeed, you can achieve anything you put your mind to. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You are literally, it is a miracle that you're even alive. It is a miracle that you're watching today's video. It is a miracle you stayed to the very end of the video. I really believe that in the bottom of my heart. So I would really appreciate it if you would go ahead, again, just smash that like button, okay? Just hit it, punch it, you know, whatever you gotta do. It really does help me with the YouTube algorithm. And guys, until then, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Make sure you drop in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought of today's video. I know It was a lot different than your normal video. I get it, okay? But definitely let me know what you think, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.